A Sea of Sorrows by Bookshope21, Chapter 2, Second Year. September 1st, 2004. Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, Scotland, United Kingdom. Another surname had gone by at camp. Another summer had gone by at camp, with Luke going on a quest to get the golden apples of Hesperides. Percy remained at camp, and he had managed to create a hurricane which could rival that of his immortal family. Percy, it's best that you don't unleash that power at camp ever again. You've managed to annoy the Dryads, says Grover, as he and Percy were in Diagon Alley. Percy explained to Grover about his three friends at Hogwarts. "Percival!" cried a loud voice as Percy was squished in a back-breaking hug. Percy smacked the person with his cane until they let go. "Percival, that is no way to greet your mother or father. Now apologize," says a male voice in a condescending tone. "I never knew my mother before she and my stepfather abandoned me in America when she was pregnant with my half-brother," says Percy. He could hear the people take a step back in shock. "Mum, Dad, we told you to not approach him," says Bill, and Percy could feel the Grover had put his hand on his shoulder. "Not now, William. I have a right to my children, and he is my son, even though he was taken by your Aunt Beryl," says Arthur darkly. Fine then, let's go to Gringotts, and this can be settled," says Percy coldly, as Grover guides him to Gringotts. The blood test is done, and it is proven that Percy is not the son of Arthur Weasley. "You flew to Aunt Beryl to tell her that you wouldn't be coming to pick me up," says Percy coldly as he leaves Molly and Arthur in front of the bank. Percy enjoyed his last few days of summer, and he performed in the camp talent show. His act was making sculptures out of ice. The winner is Percy Weasley for his ice sculptures of the Titanic, the Palace of Versailles, and the Pantheon, announces Chiron, but he was drowned out by the other demigods. Everyone was impressed by what he had managed to create, especially since the audience was calling out suggestions. When Percy returned to England for his second year of Hogwarts, Poseidon flashed him to school because he had overslept and missed the train. He landed on the Gryffindor table, and much to the horror of everyone around him, Percy was standing in the food. Bill and Charlie each grabbed an arm to help him off of the table. 15 points from Gryffindor for missing the train, says Minerva calmly. "Percy, why were you late?" asks Charlie, and his question could be heard throughout the Great Hall. "I create a massive sculpture," says Percy, as he uses the pumpkin juice to recreate his ice sculptures. It was a replica of Hogwarts itself. Everyone looked at it in shock. "Everyone at my camp thought that it was incredible," says Percy, as Minerva, Phileas, and Albus come to inspect the castle. "This is incredible, Mr. Weasley," says Phileas. Everyone was impressed by how it looked, including Snape. "Students, please welcome our new Defense Against the Dark Arts professor, Mrs. Dodds," announces Dumbledore. Percy feels an underworld presence, and he realizes that it is a creature sent by his Uncle Hades. Percy continued to excel at Hogwarts, even though the professor continued to send Molly and Arthur letters about he is a fantastic student. Percy never wrote Molly and Arthur a letter, even though they sent him countless letters. Bill and Charlie were sent letters that almost made it sound as though Molly and Arthur were begging them to get Percy to send a letter. The second eldest Weasley's refusal to help Molly's weird plan to force Percy to return to the Burrow. He didn't want to return, which was fine by them. When it was time for the winter solstice, Percy was picked by Chiron at King's Cross. Even Molly and Arthur tried to bring him home by forcefully grabbing him, but Percy bit Arthur's hand, and he managed to make it to Chiron, who brought him to camp. During the solstice, Zeus's thunderbolt was stolen, and Percy was the primary suspect, even though he couldn't even see it. "Lord Hades, is your helm missing as well?" questions Percy curiously, and Hades appears surprised. "Yes, it is missing, Perseus. It disappeared on August 31st, and I have sent the Furies to find it, but they have not managed to find it as of yet. This is why Alecto is at your school," says Hades, and Percy is given until the summer solstice to find both the bolt and the helm of darkness. Percy kept his distance from Arthur and Molly in order to be happy, which further infuriated the couple. Okay, that one's much shorter. Jeez, like a quarter. Kind of glad though. That one took forever. Anyway, thanks for listening.